Hi class, welcome to week number 8 in module 8. I can't believe it, we're actually more than halfway through the semester. So we're almost there, keep up the good work, and it's going to go by really quickly, but I'm looking forward to it because I feel like you all are doing a lot of learning and learning a lot about how policy impacts your clients. And so for this module, we're focusing on social justice and civil rights. This is a second part of that topic. So last week we were learning about voting rights and the importance of those. So this week I changed up the syllabus and the actual assignment in this module to be a little bit more relevant to the Southwest context. And so the key takeaways for this, or the objectives, are for you to observe the relationship of power and impression and how other students interpret the same sequence of events, to apply critical theory to analyze and understand the events you observe, and to understand how federal policies impacted the civil rights of people in the Southwest, specifically in Phoenix, Arizona. Will be the topic of this particular module and the items that you'll read, and actually you'll be listening to a podcast as well. So with that being said, there's a change in the syllabus. I'm going to go ahead and click on that and go to that right now, and I'm already here on this slide. So basically module 8 will be focusing on redlining in Phoenix, which was a practice where banks wouldn't provide loans to certain groups of people. You'll learn a little bit more about it in the Mapping Inequality website. And so basically what was happening was in the major urban areas, certain parts of town were categorized as high risk, and primarily minority and immigrant populations lived in those parts of those particular cities. And so on this module here, you can see this Mapping Inequality website. So go ahead and click on that. Read this entire introduction about redlining, and it gives you really good information on what that was. So this particular city is Decatur, Illinois, and you can see the different areas. So the red areas on this map, which I'm pointing to now with my cursor, are those that were considered high risk. So people living in these areas couldn't get loans to buy houses, and primarily people in these areas were black, immigrant. Some of them may have been Jewish or Hispanic, depending on what populations were in the area during those times. And so this was actually done as a part of the HOLC, which is a homeowners loan corporation, which was established as a part of the New Deal. So we talked about the New Deal previously, but it wasn't all great. We had to realize that, and this practice of redlining wasn't outlawed until the Fair Housing Act, which you'll have some information to read about the regulations, and it talks about redlining specifically. So read those resources that are here on the module. And we're going to do a unique activity. I was Googling about redlining in Phoenix, and I ran into this podcast. So you'll be listening to this podcast. I want you to take notes of this podcast so you can answer the questions for the assignment, which is a discussion board. So we already looked at this. And so the redlining did happen in Phoenix, Arizona. You'll have an opportunity to learn about that. Again, take notes. You might have to rewind it and listen and re-listen, but I feel like it's just using a different part of your brain. And so I want to see how much it resonates with you. For your next steps this week, so, reread chapter 6. You've already read it before, but If you read from page 151 to the end of the chapter, those are the areas of the book that are pertaining to social justice and human rights, specifically racial equality and discrimination, which the assignment will be covering. Read the intro article on mapping inequality and the Fair Housing Act regulations, but I also suggest that you look at some of the Phoenix red line maps. Read those and see how the HOLC categorize some of the Phoenix neighborhoods, and then listen to the Valley 101 podcast and take notes. Take notes. You might have to rewind and listen again, but take notes, and that way that'll help you out with the assignment. Assignment 8 is actually a discussion board, so I'm going to go ahead and show you that real quick. So for each question that you're answering for part 1, each of those is worth 3 points. I don't expect any more than a sentence to 3 sentences at the most. You don't need to write an essay, just answer the questions. And then 5 points for responding to 2 other students. So you'll want to also look at chapter 3, because the second question asks, what is critical theory? So you're using critical theory again to analyze a situation. So question 3 might take a few more sentences, and that's fine. I don't expect a whole page answer to that particular question, but you might have some more sentences for that answer. So you'll need to have some peer replies. So if you're doing your discussion response at, let's say you're doing it at 11 p.m., that gives you very little time to go read through other people's discussion boards. So try to get it done by Friday or Saturday at the latest, in order to be able to provide, get the final 5 points to the assignment and to respond to your peers. So with that being said, have a great week, and we shall talk to you later. Have a wonderful fall break while you're on it, and as usual, contact me if you have any questions. Take care now.